I mean, how do I describe it? It's
bold,
a light,
black,
unapologetically black,
very funny, amusing,
caring,
You give great advice from a different perspective. Passionate,
free.
vulnerable,
a creative,
sexy.
My girl is lit as fuck.
Always ready to twerk a little something.
genuine, very genuine,
resilient,
like sixth sense, otherworldly. If you know, you know.
it's so vibrant, baby. Happy Black History Month and welcome to So Vibrant, the place where music, history, and culture collide. I am your cultural storyteller, curator, and award-winning host, Andriana. So it's been a while since I've been behind the mic, and being fully transparent with y'all about that, your girl was going through it. I mean, from these full moons, bringing up these different energies and emotions and feelings from past and present to just within my everyday life of the different stresses and choices and decisions and even triumphs I had to deal with and make, to witnessing, experiencing, and watching the current events that are going on nationally and internationally. Just how much terror, anguish, frustration, devastation that people are seeing and feeling and reacting to. It was a lot, to say the least. And I knew for me, especially where I'm at on my healing journey right now, it's very important for me to be able to process and feel my emotions. Because that way it empowers me to make better decisions to create the best outcomes. So I decided it was important to rest and step back and allow myself time to do that. So while in that space, I've been embracing the importance of authenticity and knowing what that means and how to actually walk and live by that. And in that, I came across this quote that says, "No one will ever know your greatness, your talent, your power if you continue to hide it." And not to say I was hiding behind Lady AC, because I've done some amazing things with that radio name. I've accomplished so much. But if I want to truly live authentically, I have to embrace every bit of me. And what better way to do that than by embracing such a beautiful first name that I have. So moving forward with everything that I create, I produce, I make, I will go by Andriana. And so you can get to know me in that way. Now, when it goes to my social medias, it will still be Lady AC, but get to know Andriana, okay? Also, when going through that space and that transition, inspired today's show because the major lesson I learned from resting and expressing and working through my emotions was the importance of doing my work. I'm able to fully access that and attach myself and align myself to that when I own my essence. And just looking at the state of on both sides of where the world is going through all this terror, there's also this movement of people leaning more into doing their work. So I wanted to talk about that today and encourage you, just like I'm encouraging myself, to lean into our work. And it's interesting to have this conversation because it's also a conversation going on where people are trying to understand how rest and joy can be acts of resistance and agents of change. So today's episode, if I do say so myself, will be a good one. But of course, before we dive into all of that, I have to hit you with these musical breaks, because in this time I got to hear some great music and vibe to some energies, and I can't wait to show them to you. So hold that thought, because we're going to definitely put in some work today, okay? So hope you enjoy, and I'll be right back.
impossible with you. Gotta jump over the river. Lord, will you guide and protect us? I put my trust in you. Nothing is impossible with you. Sitting down with my loved ones, I won't turn a stone in this cold world. I put my trust in you. 'Cause nothing is impossible with you. Gotta stay strong when the storm comes, and we'll all smile when it's over. You just gotta keep it together. Nothing is impossible with you. Nothing is impossible with you. Lord, will you guide and protect us? I know this is a test, but I'm trying my best. Nothing is impossible with you. You are my strength. You are my life. Keep me alive. Always by my side. Nothing is impossible with you. Nothing is impossible with you. Gotta get over my own doubt and control the words out my own mouth. I put my faith in you. Nothing is impossible with you. You gotta know who you are in this. Stand up for what you believe with courage. You gotta stay strong. Stay strong. Gotta stay strong. Stay strong. You gotta stay strong. Hold on. 'Cause nothing is impossible with you. Hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on. Stay strong, stay strong. Hold on, hold on. Stay strong. Stay strong, hold on. It won't be long. Please stay strong, stay strong. You gotta hold on, hold on. It won't be long, it won't be long.
And that was the latest by Cleo Sol with Nothing is Impossible with You. And first of all, Cleo Sol music is just healing and empowering in itself. That song is a perfect segue into what I want to talk to you about, of the importance of doing your work. Before I dive into today's topic, I do want to make this very clear from the beginning, that there is no amount of therapy or healing work, such as building up your confidence or your self-esteem or having a self-care regimen or indulging in that, saving money, budgeting, that can get you out of or end oppression. No, these are systematic infrastructures that certain people use as a false sense of supremacy to justify dominating over others. It is going to take a collective act of all of us doing our individual work together to truly end this. Not no singular or individual thing or one grand big revolution, as some people try to paint it, of violence that's going to end it. To echo the words of Toni Morrison, the job of evil is to distract you from your work. That's why they put so much energy in fear-mongering and propaganda. That's why they're constantly putting people in positions that are racist, sexist, classist, all these different types of oppression that we experience to stop us from recognizing the importance of doing our work. And so that's why I feel it's very important today to focus on what we can control, and that is doing our specific work. Well, when I say do your work, I am talking about the specific, whether it's a duty, a task, a talent, a thing that only you are meant to do and bring into this world. I truly believe that all of us are here for a reason, and that reason is to carry out the work. It can range from any kind of field. It can be creatively through music, art. It can be through education, such as teaching and science and technology. It can even be more hands-on with construction, housework, or being a homemaker, landscaping. But regardless of the platform, your work is needed. And I feel the journey of our lives is to experience, connect, and discover what that is, how it's supposed to function, and then use our lives and live them to the fullest of doing this work. But unfortunately, living under oppressive systems, it makes it challenging for us to be able to know or utilize our work. And that, as I've said on this podcast many times, is by design, because the system doesn't benefit in no way, shape, or form by you doing your work. Because what us living by our purposes, living by our own terms does, it disrupts the control, the power, the greed that these systems need to flourish. And when I talk about oppressive systems, I'm talking about things such as capitalism, which simply put is it puts a value on basically your existence. Everywhere you move, everywhere you function, everywhere you think is about money. But that money goes into somebody else's pockets so that they can control what you do, how you live. Meanwhile, they are free to do whatever. And then other oppressive systems use different aspects such as race, such as class, such as sex or gender or the expressions of that, or the capabilities of our bodies and our talents to determine that that's justified, that they can treat you that way. It determines who is able to achieve, to have success. Meanwhile, making someone suffer or not even recognize the humanity of who they are. And that's what we're starting to see being exposed through the violence and the tactics, not just here in our nation, but around the world. Because I'm going to be honest, looking at how, for instance, taking this nation and what we're witnessing with the racial violence and legislation and the removal of rights, how they're carrying on, it's actually proving my point, how important doing your work is. I genuinely feel there are people whose work it is to cause hell, to cause chaos, to cause destruction. I think they are doing overtime to make sure they perform that, to stay on top of that. So my mindset is, if they can put that much energy, time, and effort to doing their work of evil, why can't we do ours for change, for growth, for expansion, for imagination, for liberation, and doing it now? But I'm not naive to the fact that it is a difficult choice to choose to do your work, because there is such opposition to people who want to go against these systems. Everyone deserves a home to rest and live in, or raise a family, or connect with other people. Everybody deserves clean water and a clean environment. Everyone deserves food and education and healthcare. Everyone deserves sustainability. And how we get there is by doing our work. But where do you start, right? How do you know what your work is? How can you determine that? And I think that's one of the reasons that makes it hard initially for people to see the importance of do their work. Before we even dive into knowing and understanding what their work is, you have to know you. You have to understand where you're coming from. What are your reasonings? What's the rationale? What's the thought pattern? What's the plan that you tell yourself? Because a lot of the terms, a lot of the language, a lot of the definitions that we use for things such as doing our work, such as success, what it means to have a better life, are given to us in these oppressive systems. For example, some of us only go after the work if it makes us money. And don't get me wrong, it's good having money. It's great having a check. But the problem becomes, they create this definition of success that allows some people to achieve so that way they can control everybody else. But this system knows that not everybody will. And not everybody is going to. Because the goal and the importance of the work we do, it values and carries and supports not only you, but everyone that you interact with. It leaves a lasting amount for everyone, for all generations to benefit from. But that's also how they manipulated us into worrying about them and their definitions of success and their definitions of work instead of focusing on our own. I'll use myself as an example because in my time away from the mic, I realized that I was starting to succumb to these same expectations. That when I really started to actually sit with my feelings, with my experiences, with my trauma, that I realized that some of the things I thought I healed from still were showing residuals within my life right now. And they were dictating the way that I was moving forward. I was going about doing my podcast. I was going about my life. I was going about the way I made decisions. And in that, I realized that that was a way of me being distracted, of me holding myself back, of me preventing myself from living out my purpose of doing my work. We can't change what happened to us in the past. We can't change or dismiss at the same time the feelings and the emotions and the hurt or the confusion of any whatever you are feeling when it comes to looking back to what you've been through. It doesn't make it right that you experience it. But at what point do you take control of your life? That was the hard question I had to ask myself, is that, yes, I experienced these things. Yes, I felt these things. Yes, they had an impact on me. But at this moment, right now, in this present, what am I doing? When do I take the reins and control my own direction? Do I continue to let that hold me back, make me question myself, make me doubt the work that I do, Because what was going on, being transparent, and another thing that happens and prevents us from doing our work is that we feel sometimes even the work that we're doing is not enough. Being human, we compare ourselves to each other, or we compare ourselves to where we want to be or where we envision that we would be at. And so we work so hard to try to do that, or we work consistently enough and think we should have it together by now. That was my biggest one, is I felt like, man, at this point, I shouldn't have what I want. I should have be in a better position than I thought. And even people who are actively doing their work do have those moments that you see people who are lying to themselves, who are only doing it for the money, who are doing things such as the evil and the pain that we're seeing, and they're making money and they seem to just be doing whatever. They don't have to lack for nothing. And here you are having a sense of integrity, having a consistency, being generous, being selfless, being independent, being and trusting your vision, and you're struggling. So obviously, somewhere you're not doing enough. That's what you at least tell yourself. So in giving myself time to sit and rest and realize that that actually is a residual of living under these oppressive systems. Because what's insidious about it is that it gets to a point where it starts to make the responsibility of its failure your problem. As I talked about earlier about it distracting you, that's one of those distractions. It makes you feel like you're wasting your time. And some of us succumb to it because we have normalized living under these systems for so long. We have tolerated being in these positions for so long that we don't know anything else or how to challenge it, or maybe if we even want to challenge it, because of how uncomfortable it feels to check yourself. I think that's the craziest thing to me about oppressive systems, is how it makes us feel so unsettled within our own bodies, within our own lives that we are expected to live. Where do we take back the power for ourselves? We do that by starting to check the unresolved feelings that allow the imposter syndrome, the inadequacy, that allow the stuckness, the doubt, ultimately stop us or distract us long enough to not want to do anything. People talk about unlearning, but in unlearning, what you're doing is you're going through every thought process you have, every belief that you have, everything that you have learned, and you ask yourself, does this give me everything that I want in my life? Can I sleep at night after I make certain decisions? Does it bring me ease? Does it bring me peace? Do you feel settled? Not settling like you just putting up with and just taking with anything, but I mean settled within yourself. Confident, calm, collected, as they say, in yourself as you move through this world. If the answer is no to any of those, now you know what you need to start working on. That's where the work begins for you to find out what your work is. On a lighter note, another thing that distracts us personally that we can control from our work is maybe you're the type of person who is good at a lot of things and you just don't simply know where to start. You may can sing, you may can draw, you may have a great fashion sense, you may be somebody who knows how to organize, how to counsel people, how to talk to people. And all of those lanes are accessible to you, but you're confused on choosing or picking the wrong or right one for you. But I'll tell you something for those folks who are going through that some of my ancestors told me. Why do you feel the need to choose? Because the situation I was going through when it came to my specific work is being human. I was comparing myself to other people. And it kind of felt like everybody around me had their thing that they were just good at, that they could do. Like, so I have friends who are teachers, who are in the medical field, who are entrepreneurs, who are in the arts, or who do help other people heal or counsel. And it's them operating in those modes, in their lanes, and in my opinion, are killing it. And here I am, using my podcast, being this journalist, but I felt I didn't have a singular route. And so when I was talking with my ancestors about it, like, why do you feel you need to do that? Go all the ways. For instance, using my background as a journalist, how often does a journalist stay at one story? Even if they are building on or do a part 2 or do a continuation, there's always a new angle, a new lane, a new direction that you go about it. So why the work that you do has to be that way? And I remember sitting there like, damn, you're right. Like, oh, okay. Let me sit with that. But they're like, yeah, why? Why not just go start somewhere? And I remember I used to have this quote that was sick at the desk. I worked a desk job. And it would say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. That's when it clicked. And I was like, I just have to do it. I just have to go down those lanes. Use them in a way that serves within the time that I need them for. You don't have to choose a singular one. What you do have to do is you have to make the movement. You have to do something. Because if you do nothing, then nothing happens. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And honestly, that's kind of what leads into people not understanding how joy and rest can be revolutionary tools or acts of resistance. For instance, this system of capitalism, rest and joy are treated as something that's luxury. That basically, especially with rest, that it's something that has to be earned. Because if you're resting, they equate that to being lazy, to you not doing enough. Or if you are, then you can reward yourself with taking a nap. You can reward yourself with pausing. But rest is a given. It's a need. It's a way to restore yourself. So that way you can continue to show up. You can put forth the effort and the work that is needed and expected of you. And there are many different ways of rest. Because it can be emotional rest. It can be mental rest. Not just the physical. And then within that, there are different caveats of how that rest shows up in your life. Going to joy. Now, this one has started to become a little bit more lack of nuance because people have used joy as resistance to justify their act of not doing anything. To make an excuse of not going to their work. And we especially see that with what's going on with the movement in Minnesota against the domestic terrorists of ICE and people asking certain groups of people to show up more, to use and leverage their privilege more in fighting back. But they're choosing to go about it in ways that are joyous for them. That's not the work we're talking about when it comes to joy. With it being Black History Month, joy is how we as Black people learned to survive because that is what gave us the will to continue to do our work. From the way our culture has made different music, dances, expressions, language, clothing, all to celebrate ourselves and reclaim our humanity. Us being connected to that allowed us the pride, the fight, the motivation, and brought a lot of us to the positions that we are now. So we need to go back and reclaim that joy and see it as the resistance as it is, and not let certain groups co-opt it so they can deny their work or deny their parts of adding to these systems that continue to not see us as human. So on an individual level of what we can control, we have to truly utilize rest and joy and see them as an advantage and a better way to connect to our work. Because if not, these lies, these expectations are going to eat us alive and keep us still going through the same tired cycle. And no wonder people are falling into despair. No wonder people are scared, don't know what to do, are looking for an answer, or looking for someone else to save them. And that leads to the last reason of why it's important to do your work. It's a two-part. Because there are people out there who need you. They need to see you thrive, grow. They need the product, the talent that you have so they can keep going. I'll give an example of this. The Buddhist monks from Texas that are walking to DC to promote what they call a walk of peace, to teach people compassion and kindness and how to find peace within themselves and within their communities and people around them. Those monks showing up in these various states and towns have given people so much hope, the power that they can have, the peace that is possible. On a personal level, how many times I look at, for instance, my friends, my loved ones, seeing how they continue each day to show up in themselves, to work on themselves, to go after things that they love, and that having those difficult conversations or experiencing different situations that they have to either parent better, or they have to question better, or they have to work better, or have to schedule better, but they do it. Maybe contrary to what they believe, but from what I see, they do it so effortlessly. And by watching them do that, it inspires me to still stay on track and stay consistent. But there is a caveat to that. Because while doing our work is inspiring, is great for the influence and pushes other people to do their work, there are some people who have internalized this system so much that they expect you to do their work for them. So then they start throwing and applying their own expectations on you. So as you're doing your work, it's constantly being critiqued. It's constantly being judged. For instance, they don't like the way that you did it because they would have did it this way. Or why would you do it like that when there's a much better way to do this? Then it's like, wait, then why don't you do it? Why are you waiting for someone else? For instance, I can't stand those statuses on social media when people be like, why ain't nobody talking about this? Why ain't nobody doing nothing about this? Maybe because you need to do it. Maybe because you should be talking about it. Maybe it's your job to bring awareness. Or the hardest truth about these expectations that, I'll be honest, I'm still learning how to deal with and manage, is that for some people, in order for their beliefs, for the way they live their lives, for the way that they think, for the way that they have chosen to show up in this world, for that all to exist and be true and be worth something, you have to fail. Because what you're doing your work, you existing in that truth, you acting out on that, proves to them that the way that they have always lived is wrong. Because the way I believe says you should be failing. The way I think says that you shouldn't be happy. So why are you happy? Why are you trying to thrive? And that's a direct result of what the messages these oppressive systems send us to. That's literally a reflection of that. But in doing the work and staying consistent with it, you can combat that. But that comes with a level of understanding who you are, of you believing in you first. You being your first yes. You giving yourself the permission to live your life to the fullest on your terms.
You say that life has got you feeling down, and you say you're just trying to make a way out of no way, but your back is up against the wall. You call for help, but your wall is now grown 10 feet tall. See, I know that he knows just how much you can bear, and I know that although he may seem unaware of all those things you need right now but you don't have, it's yours to have, but the first thing you must do is ask. Take a look around, and when there's no one to be found who can rescue you, take a look inside, and you will see the spirit there to guide you through. If you believe, just believe, just believe, just believe, just believe. First you must believe it before you can receive it. Just believe. Stop trying to find a way out on your own. We're not meant to make it in this world alone. Know that there's a big plan for you and me, beyond what our simple mind and eyes can see. Take a look around, and when there's no one to be found who can rescue you, take a look inside, and you will see the spirit there to guide you through. If you believe, just believe, just believe, just believe, just believe. First you must believe it before you can receive it. Just believe. Take a look around, and when there's no one to be found who can rescue you, take a look inside, and you will see the spirit there to guide you through. If you believe, just believe, just believe, just believe, just believe. First you must believe it before you can receive it. Just believe. Oh, just believe. Just believe. Just believe. Just believe. Just believe. Oh, first you must believe it before you can receive it. Just believe.
And that was Carmen Rodgers with Just Believe. I think we don't understand just how powerful us believing in ourselves is. Like, honestly, that is the first step of when it comes to begin doing your work, is you have to believe in what you're doing. And to be honest, how can you expect other people to believe if you don't first do that? You set that foundation. You set that intention. So most of the work is you empowering and focusing and leaning into your own self first. And as you grow, you adjust, you learn, you unlearn, you recalibrate, you rest, and then you get back up and do it again. And why is it worth it? Because we have so many examples around us of people who are actively doing their work and see the change, the strength, the joy that it brings. The biggest one with the Grammys. Oh my God, that D'Angelo and Roberta Flack tribute. My God. My God. But thinking about that, for instance, with D'Angelo, to see how impactful his work was. And by capitalistic standards, he only made 3 albums. So he shouldn't have been that successful. But look at how those 3 albums created an entire culture of music that still influences people now. Still sticking with the Grammys, look at all the independent artists who have been working for years, who have been told to live and mold and change, or to not be so political, or to not be themselves. And look at how they shine. Going into another direction of people doing their work. For instance, last week, unfortunately, we lost Miss Shirley Raines out of California, with her amazing work of bringing beauty to the streets. She turned her pain of being almost homeless and losing her young child and created a movement beautifying and empowering houseless people of Skip Row. And they were people, governments, law enforcement, that harassed her, that challenged her, that told her she was loitering, and she was just literally trying to feed people and clothe people and give them somewhere safe to rest within themselves. And yet she still chose to show up and do that. I think about looking at Black history, Arturo Schomburg, who, when he was in school, his white teachers told him that Black people didn't have history worth studying. So he took that and proved that teacher wrong by spending his entire life collecting nothing but Black history, to the point there is an entire library of our history in New York still honoring the research he found. So I'm going to leave you with this question. 2 questions, really. Are you doing your work? And are you ready to do that work? And if you don't know the answer to those, now you know what you need to work on. Because we need you. Your life is worth living. And the work that you're meant to do is part of that. So I'll get off my soapbox and allow that to rest with you. But in the meantime, guys, if you want to connect with me, I am on all social medias. Like I said, at Queen Lady AC on Facebook. On Instagram and Threads, it is _I am Lady AC. And on X and /Twitter, it is I am Lady AC. Moving forward, I'm going to take my own advice and focus more on doing my work. So I still will produce shows on my podcast, but I want to spend more on quality, doing more documentaries, bringing light to more issues. So there may be more time in between the episodes that I produce, but best believe it's all because I'm doing my work. All right. So until next time, y'all.